Thanks everyone for coming along today. So yeah, I'm Beck King. We have a marketing company here in Launceston. We do marketing right around the state but also around Australia for all sorts of different organisations. One of the main ones that we do is the Digital Ready program, which is a state government funded program that gives people free advice, so 2 hours free advice for any business. So we spend a lot of time giving people marketing advice, but also doing marketing for clients as well. Our business is really, really busy. And yes, we're looking for marketers at the moment. And I've just had a look at your posters and they're really, really good. So if anyone wants a job, just come see me. They're really, really good. Amazing examples of marketing mix. So yeah, beautiful, nice stuff. So today it's very, very casual. Ask questions whenever you like. Obviously, go to the loo, do what you need to do. We'll have a break midway, which is about an hour and a half away. It'll go for about 10 minutes or so. Yeah, we will do some activities and have lots of chats as well. So it won't just be me lecturing to you guys. We've got some cool stuff to do with sticky notes. But we're going to, first of all, we're going to talk a bit about strategy. Hi there.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's all right. You need a spot? So, Robin told me that you've got an assessment coming up that is to produce an online marketing campaign plan. So everything that I've put into this presentation is to help you with your online marketing plan. So I'm basically giving you the formula you need to know to make a really good online marketing plan. And for those of you that are in the organisation that you're working in, you can actually apply this to what you're actually doing. So you're getting free consulting advice, which is usually pretty expensive, so it's pretty cool. All right, so we shall get started. Yeah, so digital marketing. I know you've done, I think we've got a unit on, or this unit has got marketing in it, and you've done a bit of customer relationship stuff as well. Okay, so in a business, when we're talking to a business, they've kind of got this, the way it works is they have an overarching business plan, and that talks about all aspects of the business. Then the next step down is a marketing plan, and often that's within the business plan. So there's a marketing plan. The next step down from that is a digital marketing plan, so that's what we're talking about here. Within that, there's a few different areas that I'm going to talk about, including like a content plan. So yeah, it kind of goes down the line. So I just wanted to let you know kind of where this fits within the scheme of things. So yeah, digital marketing plan. Now, interestingly enough, your assessment is about a campaign, and a campaign doesn't go on forever in marketing. It just goes on for a period of time. So it might be a launch of a new product, or it might be the launch of your actual business. It might be, say if you've got a school fair, I know there's some schools in the room, it might be the campaign to get people to come to the school fair. So a campaign is always a moment in time. So I'm going to try and tailor make the information to be about a campaign rather than an ongoing marketing strategy that goes the whole way through. So yes, that's where digital fits into the business. Alrighty, so let's just forget about the business plan and the marketing plan and other bits and pieces. Let's just concentrate on your digital marketing strategy. So there's 2 bits to it. The top bit is strategy. So that's kind of like we're going to do this and this is the reason why. And then the second bit down the bottom is what we call a tactical plan. And tactical just means anything to do or any activities that you do. So tactical might mean, yes, we're going to have a Facebook page, and yes, we're going to send out some emails, and yes, we're going to be on Instagram. They're tactical things are things to do. Strategy is kind of what you're overarching going to do and the reasons why you're going to do it. So I'll show you these bits here, and I'll make sure you guys get a copy of these slides. I don't feel like I have to write everything down manually, but this will work really well for the top part of your assignment. I'll talk through what each of these things are. So there's a competitor analysis. It's often really good to consider your competitors. And you might say, well, I've got no competitors whatsoever, but you probably do. So you might be in a town and you might be the only pub in the town, and you think, oh, well, everyone's going to come here and have a drink on Saturday night. But in actual fact, there are all the other things that they could do on Saturday night. They could stay at home and watch Netflix, or they could go to a friend's house. So there's always a competitor with the consumer's time at some point. It does make things easier if there's 3 pubs in town and you get to write about 3 different pubs and who's got the better decor and whether the meals are cheaper or more expensive. So a bit of a competitor analysis is a good way to start, because you're really trying to work out what's different about your business, what you're trying to vlog that's different, and yeah, you kind of need to work out what you do that's a little bit different. And if you're there and you're scratching your head and going, oh, we don't do anything different, all our stuff is exactly the same, there's always something that you do a little bit different. And particularly if you talk to your customers, they'll be able to tell you that. So competitor analysis is, we just get an Excel spreadsheet and write down, say, well, up to 5 competitors. You don't want too many. Three's fine. So you might write down, let's say if we use the pub analogy, so there's the pub number 1, pub number 2, and pub number 3. Clearly I'm ready for a Friday night drink. Yeah. What day is it? Wednesday. So yeah, the three different pubs, and then you might have, in one column you might have location, and then you write down where they are in the column, and then you might have price, and you write that down. Then you might have opening hours, you write that down, and then when it comes to considering the marketing, then you might have Facebook with a question mark, and then you tick a box if they're actually on Facebook. And then you might have Instagram, and you tick a box whether they're on Instagram, and it goes on and on and on with all the different types of social media and websites, etc. So you're actually assessing to see where they are in the market as well. So that, it doesn't take too long. It only takes you probably about 10 minutes or so to do a bit of research online. But it shows that you're finding, we'll just skip one, the unique selling points. So you've probably spoken about those, but they are really, really important to work out what is unique, as I just said. So, yeah, so USPs probably be the second one down, but then research, it's important to put in there where you've worked out some of this stuff from, like where you've worked out some of the types of channels that you want to use. So in marketing strategy, I put things like, I found this research online and it says that XYZ percentage of Australians are on Facebook, and so therefore I think that we should be on Facebook. So you get a bit of secondary research and put it in there. You might even have your own primary research where you've gone out and spoken to people and they've said, oh yeah, we'd really like it if you were on Instagram, and you can put that in there as well. It just be a couple of sentences. It doesn't have to be huge, but it's just this is the reason we've chosen these channels. Target markets. You guys have spoken about target markets. Just a word of warning when it comes to marketers. If we hear someone say that everyone is their target market, we have a little bit of a panic inside, because you can't be all things to everyone. It's really good to kind of focus down and have a defined target market. So it might be, okay, so say you've got a dog grooming business, and you know that it's often the females in the family that choose whether the dog needs grooming or not. And you know that it's often people that are busy career people and they've got a family, they've got a dog, and the poor old dog gets put down the list. And so you might say, okay, our target market is females in Launceston between the age of 30 and 45, and they live in East Launceston and Newstead and Trevelyan and Central Launceston. So you can really kind of define it down, and that will make a huge difference to your marketing. And as we go through and do an activity that's choosing your channels, you'll understand that you've got to always keep your target market in mind. So I think the idea is to continue on with your next assessment, is to continue on with the businesses you've done the posters for, is that right? You're not going to swap and do a different business? Stick to the posters, so that would be good. So yeah, the target market, I can see on these posters, I can see some of what the target markets are, which is really, really good. Just a little bit more on the strategic stuff before we get into the tactical stuff. It's important to have goals in your marketing plan. So to say, instead of saying, we want lots of Facebook visitors by Christmas time, or lots of Facebook likes by Christmas time, that's not a good goal. It should be, we want to get, we hope to get 50 Facebook likes by Christmas time. It's got to be achievable. Like, you can't say we want 500,000 Facebook likes by Christmas time, because that's not an achievable goal. So you've got to make it really quite realistic. And I'll talk a bit more about how we measure a little later on. Overarching strategies. So you might have a sentence or two in there that says, we believe that social media is a good way of reaching our target audience. Or it might be that social media is not a good way to reach your target audience. So some overarching sentences in there about why you've chosen the channels. So that's the strategic stuff, which is not my favourite bit. I really like the tactical stuff, the what you can do stuff. Now, you're not meant to be able to read this, it's okay, so don't panic if you're squinting. So this is what we do for our clients. You guys don't have to do this for your assessment, because that would drive you crazy, and I'm sure you've got better things to do with your time. But this is what we call a tactical matrix. So this is a spreadsheet that talks about all the things that our client could do to market their business. So off the top of your heads, you might be able to come up with, I don't know, say 10 things or so. But we've actually got a list that goes down to about 200 things that our clients could do. And it's not just online stuff, there's offline stuff as well. So it might be signage on cars, or billboards, so there's all different ways to market. It might be hiring the Goodyear blimp and having it over the city of Melbourne when the AFL's on. So yeah, what we do is we have this big master list, and we just go and cull the bits out that aren't relevant to the particular client that we're working on at the time. So this one here was for, there's a new Aboriginal tourism walk up the northeast called Wookalina Walk, and they're one of our clients. And so they came to us and said, could you write a marketing plan for us to launch this new walk? And so their target audience is Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, people with higher income that have probably visited Tasmania before, that like good food and wine and are fairly cultured. They'd probably read, you know, The Weekend Australian and listen to the ABC, that kind of person. And yeah, just in marketing, by the way, we generalise a lot. So it's not very PC, but you kind of have to do it to get your target market. So you generalise about what women like and what men like. And yeah, there's a whole spectrum of people, which is exactly how we want the world to be. But in marketing, when you're trying to make business decisions, you do generalise. Okay, so what this is here, possible to read, but you will be able to read it when you get the slides, so you can have a good look and see. So the first one is the area, like the marketing area. So this is says bookings, it says content, it says branding, it says credibility, and then it will go on down further. It might talk about distribution or websites, or all the different social media might be listed down there as well. And then the next thing, it actually says what there is to do. So one of them there says to get a photographer. So one of the best things you can do for a business is to have amazing photos. So one of those things in there is to have a photo shoot. Those little stars that you can see there is all about the path to purchase. So that's about when they're dreaming, or when they're planning to book, or when they're actually booked and then they're anticipating. You guys don't need to worry about this for what you're doing. Yeah, that's what that's sitting there. This is just a bit more information about action points and benefits. You don't need to worry about that either for yours. This talks about the measurement. And then here, importantly, it has how much money it's going to cost. So some of the marketing activities cost nothing, and like social media, except for when you advertise, and others cost a small fortune. And then there's a priority thing. So we go in and put a priority in based on our experience as to what's going to work for them. So that's a tactical matrix, but don't panic, you don't need to do one to that extent. But just a little spreadsheet identifying what channels and maybe how much money you want to spend and what's a priority would be a really good way of doing that. Does anyone have any questions about the tactical matrix?
I can see how you could be reviewing it constantly to go, yeah, did that work?
Yeah.
Maybe it didn't, so cut the budget to that one,
Yeah.
and then let's ramp up something else instead.
So once we hand it over to our client, it becomes a working document. So when you're in marketing, you get approached all the time. You'll get LAFM ringing up and saying, hey, we've got this spare spot and it's only going to cost you $5. And
Comparing to you.
yeah, so there's always people trying to flog you stuff. So you need to be able to say to them, well, that's great that that's $5, but our target market doesn't listen to LAFM. And so therefore you basically shut them down and say, thank you so much, but no thanks. But in, there's plenty of target markets that do listen to LAFM and it works really well for quite a few of our clients. So it just depends completely on the target market. So every marketing decision you make, for all of these things, you have to consider your target market and never ever diverge from it. Yeah. So yes, this becomes a working document where our clients will, if they get a new opportunity like LAFM ringing up, they might slot it in and then they'll maybe sort it again and see whether it bubbles to the top in terms of priorities. And if it bubbles to the top, they might go, oh yeah, that's great, I'll take that opportunity. But if they can see that they should really be spending the money on other more important things, then they'll go, yeah, no, that doesn't work so well. So yeah, it's a cool tool that we use a fair bit of. Another tool that we use is called a content planner. So we find with social media that it's kind of easy to set up Facebook and Instagram. You know, you might struggle a little bit, but you'll soon work out how to do it. Most people can set up an account, or we've got a friend that can set it up for them. But the real problem is working out what to put on social media, and it drives us nuts all the time. So the best way to have a bit of a plan as to what to put on social media is to create a content planner. So pull out a new Excel spreadsheet and then write down every day of the year. So if you know how to use Excel, you know you can kind of drag it down. You don't have to write down every date. It will take you a while. You kind of drag it down and it does it for you. And then do what day it is, if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then go through in the next column and put all the significant dates that are happening, whether it's Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas Day, Easter, any kind of holidays that you can think of. But then put in things like show day. It might be seasonal, so for those of you that are in agri, then when a certain product is ready for harvest, when the daffodils are blooming in the gorge, anything, change of seasons, anything that you can think of that is date critical, that you get the date right, put it in your content plan. Then you've got all these gaps in your plan, and that's when you can go in and start putting other content ideas in, like you might feature a staff member once a month, feature a client. Importantly, you might feature your products, or if you've got food, then it might be different recipes once a month for your food. Schools could focus on a teacher once a month. There's lots and lots of things you could do. We often find that clients like to do little brainstorming sessions on all the different types of content they can put on social media. So before you know it, you've got this big calendar full of all these things with something to do just about every day of the year. And it's kind of taken that horrible feeling out of, oh, what am I going to stick on Facebook today? Which does drive us nuts.
So content calendar is the way to go. To take it one step further, you can have a column that might say Facebook or Instagram, Pinterest or email or whatever channels you choose, and you can put a little star next to which story you're going to stick on what social media. So something might be more suitable for Facebook, or it might be more suitable for Instagram, or it might be better off in an email newsletter, or if you're at school it might be better on an SMS. So yeah, that's how that works. So we find that that works really, really well for clients. You could do a little sample one for your assessment. You probably don't need to do the whole thing, but you could refer to it in your assessment and say, yeah, what we're going to do is do a content plan. So that will look impressive. Alrighty, so in marketing, there's so many different theories. You've been exposed to them already. One of them that we find really useful, particularly for social media, is deciding whether something should be a shout, a sing, or a hum. By a shout, I mean there's like something that you're really pushing, like an event. So you do a real kind of push on social. It might be something. It might be, say, for a school, it might be a school fair. Sing might be, say you've got, assemblies coming up that are important, that, people are going to get presentations, so they are a bit more of a sing. And then the hum might be, don't forget to pick up your lost property or something like that. So, you kind of work out how important something should be. And you can't sustain shouting. So if you're shouting the whole time, people will just turn off. So you've got to kind of choose when you're actually going for it and really pushing something. So there's 3 kind of levels of throwing content out there. So in your campaign plan, you'll be shouting for a bit about something, whether it's a new launch of a product. There'll be something that you'll be shouting about. Less singing and less humming. You'll be in the shouting stage, which is a bit of fun because you can go nuts. Yeah. Another thing to consider is with everything that we do online is what we call a call to action. So the call to action might be to sign up, to register with the school, to buy some garlic, to buy some beef, to buy some forager fruit treats, yummy, to buy a coffee, etc., etc. So the call to action usually is to purchase something. Ultimately, you want someone to purchase something. But there are other call to actions, such as you might want them to download a free ebook. You might want them to subscribe to your newsletter. You might want them to give you a call. That's less likely these days, but if you want a good chat, or like or share, or watch a video. So there's all different calls to action. So you've got to think at any given time what you actually want them to do. Instead of just saying, here we are, standing back, you've got to say, here we are, and buy some of our garlic. So calls to action, I'll talk about that a bit more as we go through. So, digital channels. There's lots of different ways to divvy up the digital channels, but if you think of them as just different ways to get the messages out there, this is kind of roughly how we do it. So social media, I'm going to spend a fair bit of time on social media because it's such a powerful channel. I'm going to look at websites first up because they're so important. SEO, now don't panic if you don't know what SEO is, I'm going to explain it all to you. It's search engine optimization, just means being found in a Google search, but we'll talk about it a fair bit. It's one of the most important things you can do. I'll explain why after. Email is still really popular, so it still works a treat. So we get to look at lots of people's websites in the background and see what sort of marketing activities work for them. And email still drives a lot of traffic to people's websites. SEM, so that stands for Search Engine Marketing, and it's the dumbest name in the world because it should be called Search Engine Advertising. It basically means Google AdWords, so paying to have be at the top of a Google search. So I'm going to explain all that to you as well, so don't panic if you're wondering what that is. I do love acronyms. Display advertising, so that ads that are actually like box shaped, they're not just words, so you can actually design up an ad. So I'll talk a bit about that, but not too much. And we'll talk a bit about SMS as well, because we've got some schools in the room. Usually we don't recommend it for our clients because SMS is quite intrusive. And usually when you get a text these days, you think, oh gosh, what is it? If it's a casual social chat, it's often on Messenger or whatever, Snapchat. But a text kind of usually means you have to take action, and so people will unsubscribe a lot from SMS texts from businesses, with the exception of schools, because if the school's texting you, you probably need to know about it. So even if it is, don't forget it's free close day tomorrow. So that's every parent's worst nightmare, sending a kid to school in their uniform on free closed day. I've done it several times.